Gone bomb.
Explosive, well coached. I mean, they put a good team together across the board, even on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to have our hands full. We're obviously going to have to play our best football, but this is an extreme challenge for our team, and we're looking forward to it.
You guys picked up Jack Jones. What do you see in Jack? Obviously, you know him pretty well.
Yeah, somebody just grabs, gains depth for us in the back end, competition in the back end as well. A guy that can, make plays on the ball. Again, just competition. If there's players out there that can help our team overall, we'll pick them up regardless of where they're from.
How much did you see him grow from high school to college to where he's at right now?
Yeah, in high school he's about $120. I think now he's 170. He ain't got much weight, but no, listen, maturity. I mean, the kid's been through a lot. I've known him since he was very young. Obviously, he's been documented. I've seen the growth, the development. Nobody's perfect. I don't expect to be perfect. That's a part of that's my job as well, to bring him along and our staff and our organization to help him if he needs be. But the football player is extremely gifted, and I expect him to do such when he gets here.
You not only went for it in your own territory last game, you also said forcing the other team to decide to back him up. Is it what kind of aggressive mindset are you trying to establish with your players right now? I
don't think it's aggressive. It's kind of a gut. I was going off the feel of the game. I'll start with the penalty on defense. When we had that, I think it was a holding call, the entire defense looked at me and said, no, back him up. Okay. And when they have that kind of conviction, you go with your players. And that's all I did right there. And then kind of played the field position game, thinking that we'll, have a positive play. And we gained, it was plus 12 on that series for us after taking that penalty. So that was a plus. And then the fourth down on offense, it was just, we were kind of rolling. I felt we had the momentum. I felt that we were leaning on them a little bit more. And we had a good play designed for that situation.
What do you feel like you could learn about this team this week against a team, like you said, Miami is going to be a tough one, track team?
Well, yeah, we're fortunate that my first two games were at home. And now we're on the road. You got to have a different mentality. It's not going to be pretty at times, probably. I think last week it was good to see us go through that adversity. But this is a really good football team. Just think about their losses, two of them to the two teams that played in the Super Bowl. So, they're right there with the elite teams, and it'll be a good challenge for us in every aspect of the game to see how we match up against teams like that.
Is there anything logistically you do differently on road trips than maybe the previous staff did? Is there anything you're changing up in terms of travel or how you guys approach a road game?
Yeah, there's a few. Like, we're not in Miami. We were scheduled to be in Miami. That we changed that. Our days started earlier. We started at 6:30 this morning. We're practicing at 10:50, 10:40, and 10 o'clock this week, which is around the time we'll be playing on Sunday. So 48 hours before we play on Friday, we'll be on the grass practicing. Guys will be up, so hopefully their body adjusts to the change. Other than that, we're not really even talking about it. Like I told them, it doesn't matter where the game's played. We're going to have to go play it. We can use that as an excuse, but we're not.
You have played the game, and being a team on the East Coast, you had to come to the West Coast from time to time. Is there something to be said about that, just the time change, and then being able to prepare for it, whatever it is that you could possibly do to prepare for that?
Yeah, I'm not being a homer, but when I was with the Giants, we won 11 straight on the road. We didn't even talk about it. We took our show. We took the act on the road, Certain things travel, good defense and run game. Just take it with you, pack it up.
Things that you've done pretty well these last couple of weeks. Do you feel that could go in the suitcase?
It's in the suitcase. It's packed up. It's ready to go.
Talk about good defense and a good run game. You talk about the two guys in the middle that are better is John Jenkins and Adam Butler. Can you talk about the contributions they've been able to make to that?
Yeah, Big John, wow. Just all season long, if you really watch him, when we funnel the ball back to him, that's not good for the ball carriers. That's a huge human being. Playing extremely well. You look at the age, don't even look at it because the way he's playing like a young gentleman. Adam Butler, the same thing. Brings energy, brings juice, gives us some, good push up front on third down. But really all those guys, everybody in the interior D line, I think, as the season has gone on, has made strides. And what we've asked them to do is be heavy-handed, not take one for one, getting off blocks. Robbie Leonard, Matt Edwards has done an outstanding job of just continue to grow those players, and hopefully by the end of the season we're getting the best product.
I want to ask you about your PFF, Aiden. What growth did you see just last week in the game on Sunday?
I thought there was moments where he wanted to get frustrated and things didn't quite go how we expected, And on the sideline, it was probably the best thing about him. He was laser focused, went over the corrections, and we were moving on to the next play. So to me, just having that mentality, just moving on, not dwelling on it. I'll probably say like he did in the first game, so to say. And I'm talking about the Charger game, worrying about mistakes or something happened. And it wasn't pretty at times for us on offense, but he never blinked. It was always about, fixing the problem and what's the correction, what's the solution. And that was a good part about it. He was really being a good teammate as far as rallying the other guys around him. Like, when it was probably his fault, I thought that was good.
What about an update on Amik Robertson?
Oh, I'll find out here in a second. We just got out of meetings out here on the practice field, but he was smiling. I saw him smiling in the hallway, so I hope that's a blessing for us.
What about Colton Miller? Any update on him?
Yeah, close as well. I mean, last week I thought, we had a chance. I'm hoping this week it's the same. Obviously, we're a different team when he's out on the field, one of our best offensive linemen. And obviously, he does not like missing games or practice, so I know he's itching at every bit. But again, that's kind of like Amik. We'll find out here briefly.
Maybe a little healthier at linebacker now as opposed to other positions, but you were banged up the last few weeks a lot, had to play a lot of different guys. It seemed like they all held their own, did well. I know you have bigger concerns now, but there's some extra pride now that your guys at linebacker have been playing well?
Yeah, it's still one of my favorite rooms now. My BFF is a quarterback, but, still that linebacker room. But it's good to see those guys back. Obviously, what you saw what Robert Spillane did, AFC Defensive Player of the Week, by the way. Did a hell of a job for us in the game. But, I mean, it's that next man up mentality. And we talked about that when I was in the room. Now, Matt Feeney's doing an excellent job of continuing that up. No matter if we're throwing Diablo, if it's Masterson, if it's Bernie, hell, it could be Curtis Bolton. Like, we just don't blink. And those guys are all prepared. They practice that way. I think the best part about that group is that they're mentally ready to play. They take every mental rep, which you talk and you hear a lot about with coaches and players. They actually do it. And when they go in limited opportunities in practice, they go in the game and they get the job done.
Coach, do you see any similarities between your rise from undrafted free agent to starter in the league to Robert Spillane's rise from undrafted to starter in the league? Do you connect with him on that?
Yeah. That's that was kind of my selling point to get him here from Pittsburgh. And we talked about that. And, when you look at him and, I embraced him after that interception just because he got that chip on his shoulder and that fire in his belly that I can really relate to, if that makes sense. And when I watch him play, when I watch him lead, when I watch him communicate, it is a little bit of flashback. And he has kind of that old school lunch pail mentality, man, but he's a playmaker, and he gets ball, he sees ball, he talks ball. He's a really good communicator for us. He makes, and I'm sure Patrick Graham would say the same thing, he makes our defense go. When he's going well and things are going good and he's communicating, barking out when he's doing what he's doing, it's good for the Raiders.
A lot of the conversation when he signed was that he's a good run thumper, right? He's not going to be very good in coverage. And how much of a chip on his shoulder did he kind of take into camp with that narrative out there? And obviously it's proved to be false.
No, we talked about it. I told him, I was like, hey, that's the knock. Probably why you went a little bit later as far as free agency is getting picked up. But all off season and spring and OTAs and mini camps, training camp, that's all we worked on, to be honest, was change direction, being fluent with our hips, pass drops, catching the football, always doing ball drills. And that was just something that he emphasized and I emphasized. And we worked on it, and now it's coming to fruition. And obviously it's paying off for us as a team.
That's good.
Okay, appreciate it. Have a good one.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.